Hello and welcome to this week's Women's Football Chat. My name is Chris Gadsby. I'm here every Thursday at 6 p.m, bringing you the very latest from the third and fourth tiers of women's football here in England. That's the FA Women's National League. Now, a couple of bits before we get too far into it. Firstly, this week's episode, my apologies, is going to be a bit shorter. I'm really struggling with a really bad throat at the moment, so talking is relatively difficult. So if I keep stopping, taking drinks, that's why. Particularly if you're listening to the audio version, if I go quiet for a few seconds, it's because I've decided to take a drink to try and get through this show. But I felt it was important to do this week's show because so much has happened and we are so close towards the end of the season now. So that's part one. Part two is the news from this week. We have now had confirmation that Coventry United, who are bottom of the Championship, have now been relegated and will be in the FA WNL next season. We all hope. The reason say we all hope, I have to find the article again, is because, according to the Daily Mail, non-football staff at Coventry United have been made redundant. The club representative says this is down to a failure of off-field projects which caused their budget to run out. As I said, the club was relegated from the Championship on Sunday. Now, well, not going to go too far into that. Firstly, because obviously it's people's livelihoods and all the rest of it. This isn't the amateur league when you get into the Championship. And secondly, my voice won't take it. So yeah, Coventry United, which is probably the best bit, is the best result for the FA WNL because Coventry will happily slip into either the north or the south. So we kind of avoid that lateral movement really. Whoever gets promoted out of Tier 3, Coventry will just slip into that league, I would imagine. So it's probably the best thing from the FA WNL. Right, straight down to it then. Let's crack on. Northern Premier Division, Derby 1, Brighouse Town 1. Goals in this one then. Lucy Sowerby for Brighouse. Derby had taken the lead. Marley Rhodes Andrews in the 20th minute, but 1-1 there. Huge result at the top. Forest beating Burnley by 3-0. 2 for Sophie Domingo, 17th and the 52nd minute. And May Moncaster with a chip from the left-hand side in the 84th minute. Really strong performance from Forest. Keeper Emily Batty, I was at that game. Emily Batty really didn't have any real saves to make, one or two perhaps, but it was a relatively comfortable day for her. Back line doing a really good job of stopping any Burnley attacks. So great performance from Forest. That we'll get into the table later, but that has nullified Burnley's games in hand advantage. They're now, well, as it stands at the moment, they're 4 behind with 1 game in hand, but Forest are playing tonight. Stoke City 2, West Bromwich Albion 3 is there on full time. Goals to West Brom, Rosanna Embley, Kerry Walklett and Misha Dudley-Jones. Meg Bowyer with a goal for Stoke, as well as that is the only goal that's been put on there. There was another goal in there somewhere. So West Brom winning by 3-2. Wolves convincing winners over Huddersfield 5-0. Jade Cross in the 18th minute. Beth Merrick 22nd and 36th minute. Destiny Toussignon in the 56th minute. And I'm guessing either an own goal or a penalty in there somewhere. Penalty to Anna Morfitt in the 69th minute. So 5-0 for Wolves, who, if they win their games in hand over Forest, could still tie them on points, but Wolves need to score an awful lot of goals to catch up Forest's goal difference. And they only gained 2 that game, and they've now only got 5 to go, so they're running out of time, are Wolves. Liverpool Feds beating Loughborough Lightning by 3-0. Molly Farley, 7th minute. Ellie Stewart, 47th minute. Bethany Donoghue, 91st minute. Giving Feds a valuable 3 points against already down Loughborough. And then last night, Burnley beating Huddersfield by 2-1. 2 early goals for Burnley, who haven't put their lineup up yet. Huddersfield, 1 back, Yasmin Mason in the 94th minute. Gave them a little bit of hope, but they weren't able to get anything from the game. Right, table. Forest then at the top, 4 points clear of Burnley in second. However, unless you're watching this between 6 and 9:30 on Thursday when it comes out, this table will be out of date because Forest have got West Bromwich Albion tonight. So either Forest could regain that 7-point gap at the top, or if they slip up, of course, it blows the top of the Northern Prem wide open again. Burnley in second, then Wolves in third, but they have 2 in hand. So as I said there, and you can see on the screen now, Wolves in third. If they win both games in hand, they go level on points with Forest, but they are 18 goals behind. And one of those games in hand for Wolves is this weekend because Forest aren't playing. Then they've got Boldmere in midweek. But the other game in hand is Burnley against Wolves, which works for Forest because they can't both win that game, of course. Only movement in the Northern Premier Division. Liverpool Feds up a place over AFC Fylde. Boldmere are 6 points from safety now because West Brom won. And they've got 4 games to go, so starting to run a bit out of time for Boldmere. The run-in at the bottom, as we can see there, Fylde on 20, West Brom 19, Boldmere 13. That's the situation at the moment, of course, with Loughborough already down. Boldmere, 4 games to go. Yes, they've got Loughborough at the weekend. West Brom, as I've alluded to, they're playing tonight. A win for West Brom over Forest would lift them up to 7th. That's how close it is at the bottom of the Northern Premier Division, although obviously with Boldmere being 6 points adrift and with a worse goal difference than West Brom as well, they kind of need 7 points, and they've got Wolves to play there as well, so difficult for Boldmere now. Fylde have got West Brom and Boldmere to finish their season off, so it's entirely in Fylde's hands, as it is with West Brom as well. I suspect now that time is running out for Boldmere, although if they do win at the weekend against Loughborough and West Brom have lost to Forest and to Brighouse, then they might feel like they've got a little bit of hope. Then they will need to pick points up in 2 of their last 3 games. At the top, so Forest are 4 clear again. This is going to be out of date after tonight because Forest have got West Brom. They then got 2 to go. So Burnley play Stoke at the weekend. Wolves have Liverpool Feds. Then Wolves play Boldmere on Tuesday. By the time we come to next week's show, Forest will only have 1 in hand. And they all play next weekend, and then Wolves face Burnley while Forest are in the cup final. And then the final day of the season, of course. So it is advantage Forest now because they've nullified Burnley's goal difference. And Wolves, yes, are 6 points behind with 2 games in hand, but they're also 18 goals behind. Of course, even if they tie on goal difference, then it goes down to goals scored. And Forest have 72, Wolves have 52, so that's a gap of 20 at the moment. And then, of course, if Forest keep on winning, they're going to keep adding to that goal difference as well. So it's a long way back for Wolves to try and come from. When you consider that they've got 2nd, 4th and 5th in their final 5 games, they're not games which you feel they're going to go and score 7 or 8 goals in. Like Forest had against Boldmere and against Fylde when they scored 10 and 12. So I think it's a long way back for Wolves. As long as Forest keep doing what they're doing, which is obviously winning games, win their 3 games. West Brom at home, you feel they probably should win. Brighouse away is probably the banana skin now because Stoke at home on the final day of the season will have nothing to play for. But what kind of team will Stoke bring against Forest? Teams, take Loughborough for example, really raise their game against Forest, and we'll have to see what sort of teams these bring. But Forest have just got to keep doing what they're doing. If they win their final 3 games, it's fairly certain that they will win, unless Wolves suddenly go on a huge scoring streak. Okay, Southern Premier Division then. Plymouth Argyle 2, Watford 5 was the score in that one. Let me get the Southern Premier Division up. Here we go. So Plymouth 2-1 down at half time. Amber Pollock in the 2nd minute had actually put Plymouth in front. Then Gemma Davison in the 10th minute, Sophie McLean in the 44th put Watford up at the break. Then 58th minute, Charlotte Whitmore 2-2. Wolves are missing a goal as well, so that might not be accurate. Annie Lee Rossiter 77, Faye Borough in the 82nd minute. And there was an own goal in the 50th minute, so it went 3-1, then 3-2, and then Wolves just pulled away at the end. 7-goal thriller. Billericay Town 3, Portsmouth 4, 2 for Jessica King, 1 for Lucy Jones. Portsmouth, LMA Humphrey 29th minute, Annie Rolfe 30th and 40th minute. 3-3 going into stoppage time. Jasmine Younger, the 94th minute of stoppage time, giving Portsmouth the victory. Cheltenham and Gillingham 0-0. Ipswich against Oxford postponed because of a couple of problem areas of the pitch at Felixstowe. That game has not, at the time of this recording, been rescheduled as of yet. So we've just got 2 games that are still to fit in. Newcastle against Barnsley in Division 1 North, and this one at the top of the Southern Premier Division. Milton Keynes Dons 4, Bridgewater United 1, the other result in the Southern Premier Division. 1 for Ellie Saro is Bridgewater's goal. Molly Cooper with 2, Tricia Hannah Gold and Laura Mitchell with the goals for Milton Keynes Dons. Southern table then, just the one move. MK Dons above Gillingham in mid-table. Down towards the bottom, Crawley still alive with 3 games to go, but it's an 8-point gap now, so they have to win all 3 of their games. Bridgewater United, Plymouth Argyle, London Bees, the teams that are fighting now to stay in the division. Cheltenham at 8, clear of the drop, but with only 3 games to go, you feel that they've probably done enough now to secure survival in the Southern Prem for another season. Right, running at the top again. This is not really much has changed since last week because Oxford and Ipswich was postponed. Watford, with their win, though, closed the gap. But they have now used one of their games in hand. If they were to win their other game in hand, though, they do go level or above Ipswich on goal difference. So Watford certainly not out of it yet. Portsmouth are 4 points back, which is why they're not on this graphic. So Ipswich and Oxford, it looks like they have 2 and 4 to play on this. They have 3 and 5. They do have that game against each other to fit in. Now, it can't be played on the 23rd, which on that graphic, it looks like they're both free because Oxford have got their County Cup final on that day. And they can't put the reserves out in the County Cup final because the reserves are in the Reserve Cup final up at Burton with the Pirelli Stadium. So that's proven to be a difficult one for the league to fit in. At the bottom, it's pretty much as you were. So London Bees 17 points, 4 to go. Plymouth Argyle 15 points, 3 to go. Bridgewater 14 points, 3 to go. I still believe it's going to come down to those back-to-back games between London and Bridgewater. I think they're going to be the deciders there. Even if they just split them 1-1, it puts pressure on Plymouth. Right then, let's go and have a look at the Division 1 North. I said this was going to be a quicker show. Division 1 North then. So last Thursday it was meant to be Hull against Barnsley, but that got postponed. And then Barnsley against Newcastle got postponed at the weekend. Bradford 1, Hull City 0. Another great 3 points for Bradford. Sandra Martins with the goal there. Chorley 3, Leeds United 1. Grace Foy, Jessica Gillen and Kerry Nixon with the goals for Chorley. Amy Woodruff with the only goal for Leeds. Huge result for Chorley down towards the bottom. Stockport convincing 6-1 winners over Middlesbrough. 4 in the second half off the substitutes bench for Rachel Davison, 61st, 75th, 78th and 81st minute. Lily Murphy in the 16th minute. Emily Bradshaw in the 80th minute with the goals for Stockport. Jessica Whittaker with the goal for Middlesbrough. Norton Stockton Ancients against Merseyrail. That's been now put in for the 30th. York City 1, Durham Sestra 3. York City goal in the 90th minute here, Jess Holder. Durham Sestra 27th, 44th and 63rd. 27th, 44th and 63rd minute goals, Liana Giles, Jennifer Knowles and Poppy Pritchard with those. And then last night, Norton Stockton Ancients beating Leeds by 2-0. Holly J. Manders and Estelle Clark with the goals for Norton. It means for the table, as you were at the top, Durham and Leicester are now 7 clear, but they've played 3 more than Newcastle. Stockport County up to 3rd, over Barnsley, who dropped down to 4th. Down towards the bottom, there's been more movement. Chorley now 4 clear of York. York only with 2 games to go. Bradford City out the relegation zone as well. They've got a game in hand over York also. So York have only got 2 games now to pick up points. Merseyrail, of course, down as they were last week. All it means then for the run-in at the top, Newcastle don't have 4, they have 5. There is still a game against Barnsley to put onto the system, which isn't up there yet. So Durham have 2 left, Leeds and Chorley. Newcastle with 5. Quite where they're going to fit that in, I'm not 100% sure yet. But Newcastle with a lot of games to play in the final few weeks. 1 North run bottom. So here, York only with 2 games to go. That's huge this weekend. It's that York against Bradford game in Bradford. That's going to be the big one here. If Bradford win that, they're safe. If York win that, then Bradford need to get something in the games against Newcastle. But a win for Bradford would mean they are safe. If Middlesbrough can get, a point, it would be. So if Bradford beat York and Middlesbrough get a point, then York are down. So York, it's do or die against Bradford on Sunday. Division 1 Midlands then, 3 games in this one. Doncaster Rovers Bells dropping points again. Northampton Town 1, Doncaster Rovers Bells 1. Victoria Barrett in the 81st minute for Northampton. Jessica Andrew with the goal for Doncaster Rovers Bells. Sheffield against Long Eaton United was postponed. That's already been put back in for this Thursday. And Stourbridge beating Leek Town by 4 goals to 0. Alex Nicklin in the 11th minute. Lexi Harrison 41st. Millie Rogers 68th and Lois Jeffries 76th. What it means for the table is that Stourbridge are now 9 clear with 5 games to go. But it is possible, as you can see by the title of this week's episode, for Stourbridge to win the league this week. They have a game tonight against Sheffield, I believe it is, from memory. Sheffield. Solihull tonight. Solihull tonight. Sheffield at the weekend. They've got a game against Solihull tonight. If they win that game, they go 12 points clear of Doncaster. If Doncaster then, all they've got to essentially then do is match Doncaster at the weekend. If they beat Doncaster's result, then they are champions. If they get the same result as Doncaster, they will be 12 clear with 4 games to go for Doncaster, but Stourbridge have a 46 goal advantage. So they would be champions or champions elect. Now, of course, that means that Stourbridge have to get 6 points this weekend, either against Solihull and Sheffield, but could easily happen. So Stourbridge could be the first side to be champions. If they win both games this weekend, both games this week, then they will be champions. If only champions elect, but with 46 goal advantage, can't see Doncaster making that up in 4 games. Funnily enough, so the run-in, here we go. So Stourbridge, as I said, there, Solihull tonight, then Sheffield at the weekend. Particularly because Doncaster have got to go away to Sporting Cowser, who are in 4th. And Sporting Cowser could leapfrog Doncaster if they beat them. So it's going to be very difficult. And Doncaster have got Northampton again. And they've got Peterborough, who are in 5th. And they've got Leafield, who are in 6th. So the only team that Doncaster haven't got who's in and around them is Wem Town down towards the bottom. So pretty sure it's a matter of when, not if here. But no, stranger things have happened in football. Running towards the bottom. Again, as I said, it's going to come down to that Wem League game that's at the weekend. Sheffield have got Long Eaton tonight. They could pull themselves 7 clear if they beat Long Eaton, which you think they probably will. 7 clear with 3 games to go for Wem, given that they've then got Wem on the final day of the season, and Wem have also got to play Doncaster. I think Sheffield are going to be okay. Likewise, I think Lincoln City, who are 4 clear, I think they're going to be okay. But they could get dragged into it, particularly if Wem beat Leek at the weekend, because then Wem are on 20, Leek are on 20, Sheffield could be on 21, Lincoln City could be on 21. Anything could happen there. So we'll just have to wait and see after the weekend. I think the bottom of Division 1 Midlands is going to be a lot clearer after this weekend. Division 1 South East results then. AFC Wimbledon 2, Cambridge City 1, as Wimbledon keep up their title challenge. 39th minute, Emma Jane Plewer. 55th minute, Eleanor Dorey. Hayley Richards got one back for Cambridge City just before the hour mark. Yet they weren't able to get anything from the game. Hashtag United 2-0 winners away at Actonians. 37th minute was their first goal, but it's not been put on the system as who scored it. Malika Apinda-Gill getting their second in the 62nd minute. So hashtag United winning 2-0. Cambridge United 2, London Seaward 2. Harley Simpson and Sarah Wiltshire with the goals for Cambridge United. London Seawards isn't on the system yet. Norwich City 3, Chesham United 0. Ella Gamble and Alice Parker with 2 of the goals for Norwich. Other goal coming isn't on the system. I wondered if it was a penalty or an opposition own goal, but it's just not on the system. And then last night, Norwich beat Cambridge City by a goal to 0. Catherine Stanley with the goal in that one. What it means for the table, it's still just 1 point between the top 2. London Seaward in 3rd, but they're out of it. It is literally just the top 2 now, and Wimbledon need hashtag to slip up twice in their final 3 games. Norwich City up a couple of places. Ashford and Actonians both down 1. All the same down towards the bottom. And of course, there's no relegation. Cambridge City, incidentally, only have 1 game left to play. So very close to the end of Division 1 South East. Right, Division 1 South East running. It's literally just at the top there. So hashtag United have their game in hand this weekend. They're at Ashford away. Then Wimbledon play a game next weekend. So then hashtag get that game in hand back again. And then hashtag have a double against QPR. Wimbledon have Norwich to finish the season. They need hashtag quite simply to slip up twice in their final 3 games for Wimbledon to get up. It's as simple as that. Right, Division 1 South West then finally for results. Cardiff City 1, Chelsea 0. Grace Horrell 20 minutes from time, the only goal in that one. Exeter City 2, Maidenhead 0. Sarah Stacey in the 18th and the 75th minute, the goals for Exeter as they keep up doing what they need to do. Larkhall Bournemouth postponed, that's been rearranged. Moneyfields Keynsham postponed, been rearranged. Portishead Austell postponed, been rearranged. Swindon 1, Southampton Women's 5. 3-0 at half time. Southampton women were up, but they haven't got any information on the system yet. Helena Diaz Butcher with a goal for Swindon. And then last night, Moneyfields 0, Chelsea 0. What it means for the table then, Exeter City with 3 games to go are still 6 clear of Cardiff, but Cardiff have 2 games in hand. And unlike in the Northern Prem, this time the team with the games in hand have got the better goal difference as well. So Cardiff know if they win all of their games and obviously outscore Exeter, then they will go up. So it's still in both teams' hands. Well, it's in Cardiff's hands, really. Moneyfields now are 11 back with 4 to play. So they are out of it, essentially. Down towards the bottom, AFC St Austell obviously already relegated. Larkhall are 8 away from safety. They've got 4 games to go. If we have a look at the Southwest running at the top, so Exeter have got Swindon this weekend, so they will then have played 3 more than Cardiff. Cardiff then have lots of fixtures, the 13th, the 16th, the 19th, the 23rd, but they're all away from home, a lot of travelling for Cardiff at the end of the season. The Swindon games cancel out with Exeter, so I still don't know which way that one's going to go. My gut instinct is that Cardiff will falter against somebody like Moneyfields or Southampton Women, and Exeter will be the ones that go up. But if both sides go into that final day knowing they've still got a chance, then it could be a very interesting final day in the Southwest. Right, Let's move on to fixtures then. So as I said, tonight, Forest take on West Brom as they look to increase their lead at the top of the Northern Premier Division table again. And then at the weekend, Boldmere take on Loughborough Lightning. That's the bottom two. Brighouse against West Brom. West Brom, of course, fighting against that relegation as well. Huddersfield take on Fylde. That's 7th against 9th. Stoke against Burnley. 6th against 2nd. Wolves against Liverpool Feds. It's 3rd against 8th. Then on Tuesday, Bournemouth St Michael's host Wolves. So 2 games for Wolves. And obviously Burnley at the weekend, Forest not playing. So Forest could really put a marker down with a big win against West Brom at home. Now they had a big win away at West Brom earlier on in the season. In fact, opening day of the season, they won 6-0. So if they could do the same sort of thing again, not only would that obviously give them those points that they so desperately need, but it would do wonders for the goal difference because it would put even more pressure on Wolves. And if they could score like 6 or so goals again tonight, give themselves a goal difference that's like 24 better than Wolves, then Wolves need to score 5 a game and hope that Forest don't score and start losing games. And it just puts the pressure on Wolves a bit and almost takes goal difference out of the question as well. Forest know if they win all 3 games and they should make that playoff. Right, Southern Premier Division, Cheltenham against Portsmouth. And Cheltenham in 8th, Portsmouth in 4th. Crawley Wasps against Oxford, that's 12th against 2nd. Crawley Wasps have to win or they're down. Watford against Bridgewater United, 3rd against 11th. Bridgewater United could do with a win as well. Gillingham against London Bees, 7th against 9th. MK Dons take on Plymouth Argyle, 6th against 10th. And then on Wednesday, big game at the top, Watford against Oxford. One of Oxford's games in hand over Ipswich. Just 4 games in Division 1 North. Bradford against York. Again, there's that huge game that we've been speaking about. Hull against Newcastle. Middlesbrough take on Leeds. Norton Stockton Ancients against Stockport. So, it's all about that game down towards the bottom, really. Newcastle with a game in hand over Durham, but if Bradford are able to beat York City and Middlesbrough get a point against Leeds, York City are down, and then Division 1 North, it's all about the top. Division 1 Midlands, a lot happening here. So Sheffield against Long Eaton tonight, we've already spoken about that. Solihull Moors against Stourbridge, again we've spoken about that. Lincoln City against Northampton Town, 8th against 3rd. Peterborough take on Solihull Moors, 5th against 7th. Sporting Cowser take on Doncaster Rovers Bells, that is 4th against 2nd. Stourbridge then take on Sheffield at the weekend. That could be at home when they win the league. Wem Town against Leek Town, 11th against 10th. Again, that's a huge game down towards the bottom. If Leek Town beat Wem Town there, then Wem Town are down as well. They have to have other results go against them as well. But they could be. And then Long Eaton United against Sporting Cowser in the week as well. So plenty going on in Division 1 Midlands. Division 1 South East, of course, not many games because losing 2 teams out the league mean they haven't got many to play. Actonians against London Seaward. That is 6th against 3rd. Ashford against Hashtag is the only real game that matters in the South East. That is 5th against 1st. It's Hashtag United's game in hand, as we've discussed previously. Chesham against Queen's Park Rangers, 9th against 7th. These games are really the teams that have 3 or 4 left to play. And so there's a bunch of teams that only have 2 left. Cambridge City have only got 1. So it's just kind of a case of Hashtag against Wimbledon, really, in Division 1 South East. Division 1 South West, kind of a similar situation as well. Plenty of teams getting down to 2 or 3 games to play. Moneyfields against Austell, 3rd against 12th, of course, Austell already down. Southampton Women's take on Maidenhead. And Swindon take on Exeter. So Swindon in 6th, Exeter in 1st. If Maidenhead beat Southampton Women's, then that would put them 11 clear of the drop. Larkle with 12 to play. But with Portishead not playing and Larkle not playing, Larkle cannot go down this weekend. So there is a lot that's going to be decided in the last couple of weeks of the season. Of course, I'll bring you all of the results, fixtures, and a look at the run-ins as we go towards the end of the season at the end of this month. My apologies again that this episode is shorter and I've not quite been on form, but we've got through it. So thank you very much for watching and or listening to this week's Women's Football Chat. I'm here every Thursday at 6 p.m. As always, keep supporting your local women's football team, but keep watching the weather. I think we're past the worst of it now, but I said that a few weeks ago as well. So check before you travel on your team's social media accounts. Thank you very much for watching and or listening, and goodbye.